So I was wrong. The third path is actually destruction, because apparently destruction is everywhere in Star Rail. The cancer of all worlds does in fact live up to its name. Now, while 3.2 did just about backhand half of all my theories, it did, however, give us a few interesting things to chew on, as the destruction on Amphoreus isn't just a simple Stellaron this time, but an imprisoned Lord Ravager. And there has been one character since the beginning of Amphoreus that has always been speculated to be tied to the destruction: Phainon. So as they say, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Because today we are going to be answering the question, how did a Lord Ravager get imprisoned in Amphoreus? How does this one reveal change everything we know about Amphoreus? And why our deliverer might actually be a deliverer of destruction. But before that, you might know that Anaxa is currently out in Honkai Star Rail. And if you're like me, you're probably pulling for her too. And if you're more like me, you probably need a little help in the form of top-ups. And that's where the partner for today's video comes in, LootBar GG. LootBar GG finds the best possible prices for you, giving you big discounts on the original price. I have personally used and tested LootBar GG, and it has saved me money on my rolls. So if you're looking to top up for any of the upcoming characters in Honkai Star Rail, Genshin, ZZC, or any of the other plethora of games that LootBar covers, click the link below to save up to 21% or more on your chosen game. First time users get an extra 8% off as well. Thank you so much, LootBar GG, for being the partner for this video. Now back to the theory. Before we get into the destruction on Amphoreus, we have to clarify what exactly is a Lord Ravager, because that will help us understand which one is on Amphoreus. You may remember the term as it was mentioned quite a few times in Star Rail, most notably Phantilia, the Lord Ravager that disguised herself as Ting Yun and infiltrated the Xianzhou, trying to destroy it from the inside. Lord Ravagers are the Emanators of Destruction, selected by Nanook from worlds they have destroyed. They are beings that obey Nanook and relish in the path of destruction, each with their own philosophy and approach to destruction. They are then twisted from the inside out and recast in the world of Warforged, the home of the Antimatter Legion, then tasked with leading different divisions of the Antimatter Legion. There are 7 known Lord Ravagers, and only 4 of them we know the names of. Phantilia, who we met on the Xianzhou, prefers destroying worlds from the inside out, weakening them from their internal beliefs and causing discord, destroying the internal and support pillars of a civilization before ordering the Legion to destroy the world. Zephyro prefers destroying planets alone. He is said to be a one-man army, and his appearance indicates that a planet will undergo a rapid destruction. Selenova is a frontline general of Nanook. She has troops spread across the universe and has had conflicts with the IPC and the Shenzhou ships. Her commands and control over the legions are unmatched, and she is considered a strategic genius in warfare. Iron Tomb, who attacks technologically advanced civilizations, causing technology to malfunction and AI to attack their allies. The Sun Devourer is a Lord Ravager that doesn't have a known name. The title of Sun Devourer comes from the reports of the Yavanna chain, where a third of the stars were extinguished by an unknown force about 300 years ago, leaving them in total darkness, and was then attacked by the Antimatter Legion. The chess player also doesn't have a known name, destroys planets at a much slower rate, slowly overwhelming enemies, denying any chance of resistance. They like to study and research civilizations that they are invading. And finally, there is an unknown Lord Ravager associated with a planet completely covered in antimatter. Now, one of these 7 Lord Ravagers is trapped in Amphoreus, and to understand which one it is, we first have to look at a certain all-powerful, world-ending, evil-looking bad guy from the previous quests, the Flame Reaver. You've probably already heard of this theory, that Phainon is the Flame Reaver. In fact, it's less of a theory and more like foreshadowing at this point. Hoyo has hinted at this so much you start wondering if this was just to combat leakers, because there are quite a few notable giveaways. The one that was probably the most notable was during the battle at Castrum Kremnos with the Flame Reaver, when the Flame Reaver went in to stab Maide in his one and only weakness, the 10th thoracic vertebra, the only place that's able to kill him. And Phainon is the one and only person that knows this weakness, and in a bit of irony, Phainon was the one who saved Maide from being stabbed by the Flame Reaver. Another big hint is that Flame Reaver's sword is a twisted sun, and this isn't just my interpretation. Phainon and Anaxa mentioned it as well, and Phainon has a sun blade. But probably the biggest dead giveaway was all the way back before even Amphoreus was released. In one of the first trailers of Amphoreus, for just a split second, with Phainon splashing himself with the golden blood, there was a single frame where his face was replaced with the mask of the Flame Reaver. That's a hint if I've ever seen one. Besides, March warned us in the beginning before we even departed to Amphoreus, the first person we meet in every place has been someone who isn't who they say they are. And Phainon is the first person we meet, unless you count Mem, which also works with this as well. March telling this to us might actually have a bit of a deeper meaning, but I'll get into the reasons why later in this video. There is obviously a bit of a problem with Phainon being the Flame Reaver, and it's that Phainon is with us, and even fought the Flame Reaver himself. In fact, he wants vengeance on the Flame Reaver. So how can he be in two places at the same time? See, the answer to that might have been hinted during the end of the 3.2 story quest, during the big reveal that a Lord Ravager is trapped on Amphoreus. The Flame Reaver's image is shown at the Vortex of Genesis during that reveal, along with the Trailblazer and Dan Heng. Why is it that only these three images are shown at the entrance of Amphoreus? What do these three characters have in common? For the Trailblazers, it's the fact that they aren't from Amphoreus. And Amphoreus being a simulation, which by the way Black Swan basically kind of confirmed, might mean that their image, body, or part of themselves isn't able to enter Amphoreus and is left behind. And if the Flame Reaver's image is also at the entrance, that would imply that the Flame Reaver isn't from Amphoreus either. And the only other being that is confirmed to be on Amphoreus that isn't from the Astral Express is the Lord Ravager trapped there. So going back to the question, how could Phainon and the Flame Reaver be at the same place at the same time? Well, it's because one of them isn't real. The Flame Reaver / Phainon is the Lord Ravager, and Amphoreus is a prison created from Phainon's own memories. So when the Flame Reaver and Phainon are in the same places, it's because Phainon is part of the simulation and the Flame Reaver isn't. And the person who created the Amphoreus simulation is implied to be March 7th. Which I have to give myself a bit of a pat on the back for, because I was wrong about a lot of things, but I was right about the reasons for the Remembrance's involvement in Amphoreus and March's potential eminent status. Because if Memo Snatchers are after March's memories because she knows how Amphoreus was created, then that also implies that March created Amphoreus. Why else would they go after her? And these Memo Snatchers are said to be Emanators of Remembrance, and they don't know how March created Amphoreus, which further implies that March had to at least been an Emanator herself to do such a feat. Besides, who else could create a memory prison strong enough to hold a Lord Ravager other than a Emanator of Remembrance? Which now brings up the all-important question, who is the Lord Ravager on Amphoreus? Yes, we did establish that it's Phainon or the Flame Reaver, but it's not on the list of Lord Ravagers. In fact, the Flame Reaver was a title given by Anaxa. So which of the known 7 Lord Ravagers is Phainon? We could start by taking out any of the known active Lord Ravagers, because Dan Heng would probably recognize him as someone who handles the records in the Astral Express. Also, any of the known active Lord Ravagers can't currently be imprisoned. So that takes out Phantilia, Selenova, Iron Tomb, and Zephyro, which leaves us with the unknown Lord Ravagers. The Sun Devourer, the Chess Player, and the Lord Ravager associated with a antimatter planet. Off the bat, we could probably rule out the last one due to the antimatter planet not being in Amphoreus as far as we know. And I would be very shocked if the IPC, Xianzhou, and just about every other faction in the universe is not keeping an eye on an antimatter planet that might be a Lord Ravager. I feel like that would be important. So that leaves the Sun Devourer and the Chess Player, both of which is a lot more compelling. With the Chess Player, there was a hint of their possible involvement back during the first Golden Epic trailer with the chess piece slamming into the ground. And the Black Tide does have qualities that match the Chess Player, as it has taken thousands of years for the Black Tide to slowly encroach around Amphoreus, matching their slow and methodical methodology. But here's the problem. What if the Black Tide is also part of Amphoreus' simulation? It doesn't make sense for a prison for the Lord Ravager to have subjects. It would make more sense that the Black Tide was a result of Phainon's memories of the original Amphoreus' destruction, as Lord Ravagers are chosen from worlds that have already been destroyed. And to be honest, the Flame Reaver and Phainon doesn't exactly give me chess player vibes. Mind you, it's not like they're dumb. In fact, Phainon was already confirmed to be pretty smart. It's just they're not really commanding defending soldiers, but rather fighting on their own, and the Flame Reaver doesn't really invoke chess player temperament, if you get what I mean. So, by the process of elimination, that leaves the Sun Devourer, and that actually makes a lot of sense. For one thing, the last known action of the Sun Devourer was 300 years ago, which would line up if it was imprisoned for the last couple centuries. Yes, Amphoreus' history is over thousands of years old, but if the simulation is based off of Phainon's memories, then it would only be within the time period he was actually around in the real Amphoreus. Also, in that same action, the Sun Devourer only extinguished a third of Yavanna's chained stars. Why not all of them? There doesn't seem to be anything that would stop them unless an emanator of a different path stepped in to actually challenge them. There's also the immense amount of sun and moon imagery in the Flame Reavers and Phainon's design, complete with two blades that make an eclipse. You know, like how the moon covers the sun. In fact, in the original Golden Epic trailer, Phainon's image was behind an eclipse. Also, a key factor in Amphoreus is that it's shrouded in darkness and chaos, which is the modus operandi of the Sun Devourer. Now, I'm not saying the Flame Reaver took out the sun or Aquila, but rather what I think it is that if we're going with the idea that Amphoreus is a prison made from the memories that Phainon has of his home planet that was destroyed, and a key factor in that destruction that it was plunged in eternal darkness, that in a twisted way could have influences his signature form of destruction. And unfortunately, it's been recorded many times that trauma is a key factor that affects a murderer's methods. I'm not sure if this was on purpose or not, but interestingly enough, Phainon's name is inspired by a Greek god that is associated with the planet Saturn. And Saturn in the Roman equivalent is Kronos, the Titan king that devoured his children, the Greek gods. And what exactly is the Flame Reaver doing? Oh yeah, devouring the core flames of the gods. Now, with everything I mentioned, I think I might be able to paint you a bit of a picture of not just the origins of Amphoreus, but how it will all tie together with March, the original Amphoreus, and how Phainon became a Lord Ravager. Phainon's life in the original Amphoreus might have not been that much different from the ones that we see in the game. After all, it is based off of his memories. The only difference would be that this Amphoreus was connected to the outside universe. That's the reason why Amphoreus uses the same language and similar technology to the rest of the universe. At some point, this original planet was attacked by the destruction. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you might know that I was pushing really heavily with this theory that the original Amphoreus was destroyed by the Machine Emperor's War because of the anti-organic equation, due to the fact that the equation was what destroyed the Philosophers' Union, which was a galaxy that was based on Rome and Greece. And the Black Tide does share a lot of similarities to the anti-organic equation. The reason why I'm no longer pushing for this theory is because of this small detail that Lord Ravagers have to be from worlds that the Path of Destruction has destroyed, and the anti-organic equation would be technically erudition. Now, this is such a small detail that honestly Hoyle could retcon it and it would literally be no big deal, as I don't think most people really looked into that. They would only really need to change that Lord Ravagers are from any destroyed world. But there are a couple of Lord Ravagers with MOs that would fit the Black Tide. The monsters of the Black Tide kind of look like the Antimatter Legion. Now, that might just be a design choice using the same model, but it really does look the same. In terms of different Lord Ravagers, Iron Tomb is definitely one of the possibilities, as they are known to destroy technologically advanced civilizations. And most of the Titans have machine-like appearances, so the Titans in the original Amphoreus might have been life cultivation machines. Another possibility, and which I think is a little bit more likely, is the chess player, as the slow encroachment of the Black Tide in that simulation might have been an interpretation of the slow advancement of the Antimatter Legion strategically conquering different nations in the original Amphoreus. The chess piece in the original trailer might have actually been a hint not of the in-game Amphoreus, but the original Amphoreus. Whatever that method may be, after the destruction of the original Amphoreus, Phainon, witnessing his home destroyed, might have come to the same conclusion that Nanook did when his home was destroyed, which might be something along the lines of destruction to remake the universe, and adopted the Path of Destruction to become a Lord Ravager. After serving the destruction for centuries, Phainon was sent to destroy the Yavanna chain, where he encountered an Emanator of Remembrance, the original March 7th. As to March's motive to interfere, because followers of Remembrance aren't supposed to interfere in anything, even great tragedies, but rather just record those memories, it could be that March could have been from the Yavanna chain and she was defending her world, or another simple reason could be that Fully dispatched her as the Sunvower was destroying worlds faster than they could record the memories of, and they needed to stop or slow it down to ensure those memories would be brought to the garden. In that ensuing battle, March, in a desperate act to stop the rampaging Lord Ravager, she created a prison from the memories of the Lord Ravager, thus creating the simulated world of Amphoreus, in a similar way to Fully's end goal of recreating the world after the universe's destruction. Cyrene might actually play a role in this, as she could be the watcher of Amphoreus that causes the simulation to continue, or even the one that guides the simulated Phainon forward to become the deliverer and repeating the cycle. This might be why the Flame Reaver went for her first, to stop that cycle. And also there's the concept that Cyrene might be the 13th Titan. That also might play a factor into why the Flame Reaver went for her first. And because the Flame Reaver is currently imprisoned in Amphoreus, the core flames, which I mentioned in a previous theory, might be portions of her authority as an Emanator, similar to Diamond and the Stonehearts. So if the Flame Reaver is able to take those core flames, then perhaps that's the way to break out of the prison. Takes the authorities of the remembrance away and destroys them, so that the prison is then broken. The act of creating this Amphoreus prison might have made March very vulnerable and weak. So the Memo Snatchers, noticing this opportunity to learn how to create a simulated world, took March's memories, and thus entrapping her in 6-phase ice because she lost who she was. And after who knows how long, was then taken in by the Astral Express. And now that the Astral Express is near Amphoreus, March coming back might have actually caused a reaction to the prison, as her getting her memory back might also cause the simulation to crumble, as the foundation of the memories might be coming back to her, making her awaken as the Emanator of Remembrance, but also having the Lord Ravager freed as well. There's also the possibility, with so many parties in Amphoreus, another Lord Ravager might have come to break Phainon out of the hold of Amphoreus, and causing everyone to have to deal with 2 Lord Ravagers. Either way, at the end of the Amphoreus story quest, what I think is going to happen is the simulation will come to an end and a Lord Ravager will be free, but at the same time, the Emanator of Remembrance will reawaken as well, thus recreating the original battle between paths and the Trailblaze right in the middle of it. And that's my theory for today. A couple of final notes before I sign off about the Honkai Impact 3rd story's influence in Amphoreus. I do know Phainon is supposed to have another version named Kevin Kaslana, and at the end of that story, he was the main villain, which does kind of line up with what seems to be going on in Amphoreus. Matches the idea that Phainon would be the Emanator of Destruction. Now, on the flip end, Alicia is supposed to be a Hersher, who is supposed to be some sort of enemy of humanity, but ultimately sacrificed herself for humanity. And in Star Rail, Alicia is Cyrene, who we don't really currently know that much about yet, but is speculated to have connections with March and of course Mem. The only thing is, I can't really see a way that Cyrene would fully reflect Alicia, because that would also imply that Cyrene is part of the destruction, or a Lord Ravager as well, or something along those lines. And it just doesn't match up with any of the currently known Lord Ravagers. In fact, from what we understand, it seems that Cyrene and Mem is more tied to the remembrance between the connection with March, her tarot cards, and Mem, who has the abilities to just recreate cities, which, by the way, sounds pretty similar to what I theorize another character did in this video. All in all, though, I just don't think Star Rail will make Amphoreus a full reflection of the Flame Chase story in Impact 3rd. It is a different game, so I believe they might take a couple things but really change how it might end or something like that. That being said, I've never played Honkai Impact 3rd. Everything I've mentioned before was from the research I did. So if you want to let me know maybe some things I missed, or if it really does match in some way, then comment below and let me know. I always love to learn from you guys. If you made it this far in this video, thank you so much for watching. As always, like and subscribe to let me know if you like these types of theories. As always, leave your own theories and thoughts in the comments below. And with that all being said, peace.